majority of the journals. It will put us in possession of a tremendous influence upon the public mind. In accordance with the 17th Protocol, the Church will be annihilated, so that only years divide us from the moment of the complete wrecking of that Christian religion. The final takeover of the world, the 21st Protocol, will be achieved financially. The 21st Protocol states, "We shall replace the money markets by grandiose government credit institutions, the object of which will be to fix the price of industrial values in accordance with government views. You may imagine for yourselves what immense power we shall thereby secure for ourselves." Waves of anti-Semitism. The work makes the Jews responsible for present and past disasters, from the downfall of Christian monarchies to the French Revolution and the advancement of liberal and bourgeois ideas. The plotters are portrayed as poisonous snakes, spiders weaving their webs, and wolves ready to devour Christian sheep. The final protocols describe the future reign of the Jews, including the installation of a king of the Jews, who will be the real Pope of the universe and the patriarch of an international church. The protocols appeared in Russia shortly after the Rothschilds and the Nobels joined forces to gain control of the Baku oil fields in 1886. The preparation and dissemination of the work, according to Josephson, was arranged by Rockefeller. The effects were immediate and devastating. A wave of anti-Semitism swept throughout Russia. Pogroms were initiated in 1903 and 1905, which resulted in the death of 2,500 Jews. The Rothschilds, who were an integral part of the money cartel, were singled out for hatred, and their ties to the Tsarist regime became greatly weakened. In the United States, Henry Ford was duped by agents of the Rockefellers into promulgating the protocols within the United States. Bankrolling Bolsheviks. The Rockefellers continued to puppeteer developments in Russia by helping to bankroll the Russian Revolution. In The Surrender of an Empire, British historian Nesta Webster writes, "Had the Bolsheviks been, as they are frequently represented, a mere gang of revolutionaries out to destroy property, first in Russia and then in every other country, they would naturally have found themselves up against organized resistance by the owners of property all over the world, and the Moscow blaze would have been extinguished. It was only owing to the powerful influences behind them that a minority party was able to seize the reins of power, and having seized them, to retain their hold of them up to the present day." Similarly, Anthony C. Sutton, a research fellow for the Hoover Institution for War, Revolution, and Peace, writes in his introduction to Wall Street and the Bolshevik Revolution, "In brief, this is a story of the Bolshevik Revolution and its aftermath, but a story that departs from the usual conceptual straitjacket approach of capitalists versus communists. Our story postulates a partnership between international monopoly capitalism and international revolutionary socialism for their mutual benefit. The final human cost of this alliance has fallen upon the shoulders of the individual Russian and the individual American. Entrepreneurship has been brought into disrepute, and the world has been propelled toward inefficient socialist planning as a result of these monopoly maneuverings in the world of politics and internationalism." The lure of communism. After the Bolsheviks seized power, Standard Oil purchased the Russian oil fields, set up a refinery for the Soviets, and made arrangements to market the refined oil in Europe. The Rothschilds had been routed. Royal Dutch Shell lost their grip on the Russian oil fields. Chase Bank set up the American-Russian Chamber of Commerce, financed the raw material exports of the Soviets, and sold Russian bonds to American investors. The tentacles of the Rockefeller oil empire now extended throughout Europe to Russia and China. The family had come to control most of the wealth of the world. No other family, including the Rothschilds of Europe and the Mitsuis of Japan, possessed half their riches. The USSR proved to be a great place for the Rockefellers to conduct their business. They could control the country's oil production and withdraw their profits from Swiss bank accounts. There existed no way for a federal agency in the United States or elsewhere in the Western world to investigate their earnings. This arrangement allowed American money and technology to flow into the hands of Joseph Stalin, the Soviet premier, who used it to create the Big Red War Machine that would represent the greatest existential threat to the United States. The Rockefellers became completely enamored with communism. It represented a monopolist system of government, a government over which enterprising industrialists and bankers could gain control through loans to the government, the manipulation of the country's centralized banking system, and, of course, bribes. This realization eventually prompted the Rockefellers to provide support and funding to further the spread of socialism in the United States.